City Council meeting for Monday, June 26, 2017 to order. Can I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
Here.
Councilmember Lane.
Here.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
Vice
I'm
Mayor.
here. Sorry, I'm here.
Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Mayor Vierra is absent.
Now, if we could please stand for the invocation by Pastor Loren Gregory of the Victory Assembly of God, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you and just ask for wisdom and grace as we decide the people's business, Lord. Guide us and direct us to make wise decisions, and we ask this, Lord, in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see we have no presentations tonight. Citizens' communications. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes for expression of a non-agenda item. Matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Do we have anybody in the public that would like to address the City Council?
Good evening. My name is Sheila Brandt. I'm at 2104 Haley Aloha. I just wanted to say good evening, Vice Mayor and City Council. And I just want to say, wow. I went to Save Mart this morning. I was there when they opened the doors at 6 a.m. and it looks great. And yes, Linda, the bakery department looks awesome.
Important things.
It's bright and just, the aisles are nice and big, so you can get through with your grocery carts, and there's just a lot of excitement going on there. So I just hope that the citizens really support that new store, and we have no reason to go out of Ceres. Keep that money here in Ceres to help our tax base. I also wanted to say good job with the downtown area. I know it's an inconvenience for a lot of people that shop downtown or do business there, but it's just a short time, and then before we know it, it's going to look great down there. And I'm just real excited to see all the improvements that will be made. I also wanted to mention that it'll be great for that to be done for the centennial celebration that we have next year. And it would be really great, and I know Toby will just love this comment, if we could paint the water tower, put a new coat of paint on that water tower so it will look really great for everyone as they go down Highway 99. I know there's probably more than 120,000 people that travel that highway every single day, and it'd be great for them to see the water tower all nice and bright and sunny, and that would be a very good focal point for our centennial next year. And I'm really sad that Tom's not here tonight because I wanted to give him a hard time about what's going on with the with the Walmart Super Center. I hope that's still on its way. Thank you.
Leonard Shepard, 2841 Fowler Road. How do you beat that? You don't. Sheila, you are a firebrand, but I got to tell you, I also would like to see that water tower up there all painted up and an American flag, Ceres, and In God We Trust. That would be an eye catcher in my book. And you know what? In my book, I'm a pretty patriotic guy. But the worst holiday in the whole year is going to be upon us in just a few days. And the idiots are going to make the war zone in Ceres, Modesto, wherever you go, up and down the valley. The idiots are going to be out trying to kill everybody with their fireworks, burning things and blowing people's hands off and stuff. I sit at home. Everybody might think I'm kind of one of those guys that I put the ladder up so I can get on the roof. Not anymore, I used to. I don't go up on ladders and roofs anymore, but you know, when bottle rockets fall in front of your house on the street, it's kind of makes you wonder, what are people thinking? And I know that a lot of the nonprofits get their money, but man, it just scares me. If you've ever ridden on a fire engine going to a fire started by fireworks, which I have many times, you'd wonder what people are thinking. And I know that every police department in the county, sheriff's department, and everything are going to be inundated with idiots out there. And I just read an article in the Modesto Bee about getting fined $1,000 even if somebody in your household and you're the owner or you're a property owner and they shoot off illegal fireworks and get caught at a $1,000 fine. I say double it. Make the 4th of July a holiday that's safe. And make it a holiday where professional pyrotechnics are the ones you see blowing up in the air. Thank you.
Good evening, Senate Council. My name is Jamal Walker. I live at 1944 Dare Street. And my concern is what happened to our police department. You know, when I first came here, you guys had a gang force unit. You know, officers everywhere, but I don't see officers at office anymore. You know, some of the officers I spoke to, you know, tell me you have 4 officers per shift. You got 50,000 plus people in the city, and you only got 4 officers running around. That's kind of ridiculous. So I'm just wondering, you know, what's going on with the officers. We need more officers. We need our gang force unit back. We need all that, you know. Of course, my block is not as bad as it is anymore because we kind of cleaned it up with the police department. A lot of prayers. It's not bad anymore. I don't have that issue, but the issue I have is there's not that many police as there was when I first came here, and that's my issue.
Well, I'm sure Chief Smith can address that because of, you know, some of the changes we've done. I believe we've eliminated some task force.
Well, we eliminated the street crimes unit a couple of years ago, but we've had several out on injury in the last several months, and that's probably what he's seeing the lack of.
As soon as Joe Wren left, I know that
Right.
task force unit went away because he used to come down my block a lot. As soon as he left, they kind of dismantled it and went away. And it's like, I mean, I know a lot of the officers. You know, I gave the police
know.
appreciation barbecue last year on my property. Let the police force know I appreciate them. You know, we barbecued for them, which I plan to do it again this year.
They are looking forward to that.
And so
I've already heard about it.
Maybe you'll come out this time.
Yep, I
but,
plan on it.
we need more officers. I mean, you're building the city up, but I mean, 4 officers, I mean, you got 50,000 people. I mean, somebody could do a crime over there and get away with it over here because we don't have enough officers. We need more police. You need lots of police. You need more. You're going to build a bigger city, you need more officers. We need more officers to protect the city. I mean, serious police departments, don't get me wrong, you have a wonderful police force. I mean, I love those guys. I mean, they're awesome, but they need help. They need more officers. That's why I'm here to talk to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Tammy Arias, that's my brother, and we own the property that he lives at. And I thought it was awesome that we prayed before we started, so I wanted to say that too. But my concern is that there's not enough street lights on Dara Street at the place where we live. It's just completely dark. If our lights don't come on, we have those sensor lights, it's just dark outside. And so, you know, with darkness comes people creeping around because they don't feel like they can be seen, right? So I would ask that we at least get 2 street lights down there at the end of the block on Dara Street. That is one of our concerns, a big concern that we have. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, is that something we can look at, or? primary question is, are the property owners willing to pay for it? Because we already have a lighting and landscaping district that pays for that area, and it's on your agenda this evening for that Dara area, which was approved years ago as a low-lit area, because that was in essence all that the area was willing to pay for, which was kind of minimal lighting. So in order for more lights to be put in that area under that district, we would have to pass those costs along to the residents. Is generally how it's happened. Unfortunately, most folks aren't willing to pay for that, and the city doesn't have a funding source associated with streetlights in that particular area. It generally only comes into play on new development.
And getting back to his question about not seeing officers, so we have 3 shifts of 4, and 3 is our minimum. So whenever we have injured officers, light duty or whatever, you're going to see less of them out there because the minimum shifts are 3.
Okay.
So
Thank you. And to address the light issue, I mean, we have a thing on the agenda tonight as far as we have a lighting, basically a light district, which is part of the agenda tonight. And I know there's some neighborhoods that do not have a lighting district. Like, I live in an older neighborhood, and we don't have a lighting district, so we don't get a tax assessment for street lights and things like that in my old neighborhood. Now, if the citizens in my neighborhood decide they want more lights, then what happens is the city will put together a zone or an area lighting district to help pay for the cost of all that. So, I mean, that's something that we could probably look into, but then it would be the burden of the people in that district for
They have one now.
to pay for, yeah.
Right.
So,
Maybe we could find out, is there any way to determine?
yeah.
Also, you guys, they placed that, I guess when Joe Wren left, they had that idea of placing that loading zone where they could dump furniture off across the street from our property. Well, they took it away, but the problem with the city is they didn't post a sign up there that says no more dumping their couches there, and people are constantly dumping couches there. I pay people to take that stuff away. It's not my job. It's just an eyesore across from my property, but that trash dumpster, people throw couches over there, they throw mattresses over there. They had that loading zone, they took it away, but they didn't post a sign up there saying it's no longer a loading zone. There's a fine to post that there. There's nothing there.
Well, and I know the city of Ceres, I don't know of any place that we have a dumping zone, but I do know that if you contact Burlati Disposal, what they do is they set you up an appointment.
This is
To put stuff.
This is a separate issue. This is an illegal dumping location that is associated with the properties.
When Joe Wren was here,
Exactly, but he was,
Yeah.
there's a long story there, and Joe set that up to help try to attack the illegal dumping that was occurring from the apartment complex. It works to some degree, but at the same time, we're condoning the illegal dumping in our contract, another item on the agenda tonight, discussing with Bertolotti on how best to accommodate that issue. So it's a rough balancing act, trying to not encourage folks to utilize a free service that the city's paying for, at the same time trying to keep the neighborhood as clean as possible. So it is a difficult process.
could you take it out of my area? Put it somewhere else, at least put a sign up. It's an eyesore for me.
We can put a sign up, but unfortunately, we have signs all over town, and it
Oh,
doesn't
trust me,
change.
I
It doesn't
catch-
change the activity,
I
unfortunately.
catch people and I tell them, there's some I don't catch. And every time I catch them, I say, you can't do that here, don't dump that here, but there's no sign. I would like to see a sign.
We can
So I
ha-
say,
the sign is
"Put a
easy.
sign, don't put it there.
Sign is easy.
Thank you very much.
Enforcement is more difficult.
You help me, I help you. We can work together as a team.
Sounds great.
I love this city.
Is there anybody else?
Legal. It's legal. Veteran, everybody knows. Take 3 pills in the morning, take 3 pills at noon, and take 3 at night. And if you're equilibrium, you have to have a cane, and I'm not gonna use that. Hearing aids, glasses, it's just, I guess, getting old. Mr. Vierra, City Council declares June as Disability Awareness Month. I like that. I really enjoyed somebody. It took them 50 years to have that down at the ballpark and welcome home Vietnam veterans, but they did. And when they did, that was great. Marijuana for American veterans. PTSD to prevent some of the estimated 8,000 veterans who commit suicide every year. That's 20 a week. Veterans who are legally prescribed medical marijuana should not face federal prosecution or lose their VA benefits. So if I get caught with illegal drugs, then I have a chance to lose all my Vietnam or veteran benefits. The President of the United States says just 2 words for all the veterans. Thank you. Really? That's all you got to say to all the people? Thank you? Well, I guess that's okay for a lot of people, but I got 2 words, but I can't say them. But I am proud that you guys did have June as people that has a disability, and not for myself, because I'm getting along a lot better with more pills, of course. PTSD pills I have to take 3 times a day also. And for prostate cancer, I have to take prostate cancer. So this has all come from Agent Orange in Vietnam. I did 3 tours in Vietnam, and you can see on your little telephone, I was on the USS Guide MSO 447. It was a minesweeper. We had 80 men aboard it, and our cruising speed was 8 miles an hour. So if anybody asks you who was on the boat, slow boat to China, I was on it. So, you know, thank you guys for having 1 month for disabled people. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Okay, then I'd like to bring you back to the City Council. Next, appointments to the boards and commissions. A, approval of the reappointments of Don Cool and Paula Redfern to the Measure H Oversight Committee for a 3-year term expiring on June 30th of 2020. Mr. Wells.
As was discussed at the last meeting, this item is the formal action to appoint Mr. Cool and Ms. Redfern. For the next term would be a 3-year term. It would start basically the July 1st through June 30th, 2020. Available for any questions you may have.
So moved.
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes.
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
And B, Measure L appointment discussion.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Kline. So for the Measure L, it's kind of a similar conversation in that Measure L is a half-cent sales tax that was passed countywide. The Oversight Committee is proposed to be made up with 1 representative from each city, from a public member at large. And so that process of applications was held over the past month. City of Ceres, there were 3 applicants that were submitted to StanCog that are willing to sit on that committee. So the staff this evening is asking for council direction on how you'd like to conduct that process for selecting the representative from the City of Ceres. So with other appointment type processes, we've used a two-panel sub-panel of the council, or mayor, vice mayor, have interviewed and made a recommendation. The full council has done an interview, and we've done that as part of a council meeting. We've also, in the past, my understanding is the staff has done interviews and then made a recommendation to the mayor, who makes a process. So we're looking for council direction on how you'd like to handle that. We did get the 3 applicants. All are very qualified, but looking for how you'd like to conduct that process so that we can have it completed by the end of July. So look for your direction.
Any comments from the City Council?
I think it should just go ahead and let the mayor and vice mayor, as they've done in the past, meet and interview and then bring the recommendation back to the council.
I'd agree with that.
That's fine.
Okay. Anybody in the public have an opinion? Comment? Okay. So, Mr. Wells, you got your direction? Okay, would anybody on the city council like to declare a conflict of interest? Okay. Consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by one single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for a special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of the staff will be accepted and acted upon by a roll call vote. Does anybody on the city council like to pull an item from the consent calendar?
7 and 8.
7 and 8?
Yes.
What did he say?
Anybody else on the city council?
What do you say? Can you repeat that?
Wait.
What was he?
Wait. So we got items 7 and 8 from Linda.
Okay.
And Don?
And now, anybody from the public? 5, A and B? Okay, hearing that.
Move to approve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D and E, 6, 9, 10, and 11.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
Yes.
Councilmember Lane.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
Okay, we're going to address 5A and B. Mr. Donaldson.
I have grandkids, everybody knows, and I have a lot of people come over to the house and we swim. What is the water deal this year on, because some of them do cannonballs and the water leaves the swimming pool and I have to refill it up. What is the deal on this now? It's summertime and the kids playing in the swimming pool and
In what
is
respect?
the water
What-
the same as it was before?
Yes,
Is
there's
it-
been no
what is-
changes. There's been no changes. Same conditions that were in place last year, they have not changed.
So we water twice a week
Correct.
and we water 7 to early in the morning?
Has not changed.
And if I use too much water in my swimming pool, I have to pay?
Correct.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
But the water level changed, what, in April, March? To September is a certain level?
27,000.
27,000 gallons?
Oh, the target. correct.
Target?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand because today they passed that to send all the water to Southern California. They're gonna make the canal or the pipes or whatever, and I thought maybe we had too much water here.
Unfortunately, we are 100% reliant on groundwater, and although surface water may have filled reservoirs, unfortunately, the groundwater has not recovered nearly as quickly, and that will take years before that happens. So as a result, our watering restrictions will stay in place,
So
unfortunately.
we can send the water to Southern California.
We don't send any water to Southern California. We pump the groundwater, and what we take out of the ground is what's used by everyone who lives in this community.
Right,
We don't send any water
right,
anywhere.
but Sacramento does.
That's a whole different conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have a comment on 5A or B? I'll bring it back to the council.
Move to approve 5A and B.
Second.
I have a first and second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Durossette.
Yes.
Councilmember Lane.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
Okay, item number 7, Resolution 2017-053. Councilmember Ryno.
I have a question that the staff report says the CPI increase is 3.01, but I wonder when you look at the resolution, why it doesn't say what the fees are going to be.
Because it's actually a calculation that is done by MBS to set that actual rate, and that's done after the CPI is adjusted. So the approximate number for CFD number 1 is, it's in the, I'm going to space on the number. Suzanne, do you remember? 280 is the number I remember for CFD 1, and CFD 2 is about 800. Yeah.
And then like the LLD is $1.92, so they vary. There's a wide range that they vary, but it depends on the zone where they're at. But like Toby said, the first one was $2 and
Well, $292 per parcel.
280 something like that.
Correct. And unfortunately, you have to adopt the CPI number before they can do that final calculation.
So on the resolution, should we show even the 3.01%? Because at some point going forward, if you aren't here, if Suzanne isn't here, how does somebody,
We get the final report, there's a report that's produced by MBS.
and
who
then it
does that.
actually shows what it is?
It has all of that information
Okay,
in the
all
report,
right.
correct.
I'm
This is
good
kind of
with
like
it.
the step getting us there, and then that final report has all of that information.
Okay.
The CPI, and it actually lists the actual assessment on a per parcel basis, all the way through all thousands of the parcels that are included in both CFD 1 and 2.
Were you addressing 7 and 8 with the same?
Yes,
Okay. Any other questions?
no.
Anybody else in the council? Anybody in public have any comments or questions on item number 7 or 8? I'll bring it back to the city council.
Move to approve item 7 and item 8.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
Yes.
Councilmember Lane.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
Okay, no unfinished business. Public hearing. Item number 12, public hearing to consider resolution 2017-058, approving the engineer's annual report, confirming the assessment and the ordering of a levy for the 1987 Landscape and Lighting District for fiscal year 2017-18. Jeremy.
So for the city of Ceres, the landscape and lighting districts were established in 2008. They cover approximately 5 residential zones, a business district, and industrial tract. The assessments cover approximately 6,500 parcels, 2,192 streetlights, 8.21 acres of landscape medians, 5.25 acres with Sam Ryno Park. The assessment this year will be increased to 3.01%, which is approximately $1.92 per parcel. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody on the council?
I do. The monthly report for landscape maintenance, you said that performed weed abatement at all parks. What exactly is weed abatement? Is that pulling out the weeds?
Pulling the weeds, weed eating, edging, spraying.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with Darrah Street first. And it looks like we don't collect enough money to do the work that we need to do out there. Is that what it is?
Correct. So, for example, is the current assessments for like the West Point subdivision.
Can we start with
Okay.
Darrah first? Darrah, it looks like the budget is $2,282. So the contract, we have somebody that does the landscaping.
Our training center.
And how much is the actual cost, if that's what our budget is? Is that shown back here further?
No.
It's $24.99.64 would be the revenue.
That's
Looks
correct.
like, and then it costs us $22.82. So when we look at the budget, do we project how much time they can actually spend out there so we don't go over that?
We try to, but unfortunately with staffing levels the way that they are, Howard Training Center knows the amount of time that you're supposed to be spending in each one of the areas, but, you know, we've got approximately 11 acres of areas across 122 individual parcels or individual right-of-way zones, of which 8.21 acres are part of the districts. So Howard Training Center, for example, doesn't know which one belongs to Eastgate, Darrah, any of the zones. They just know they're under contract to take care of the areas.
Okay, so Darrah Street, if you drive down Darrah and they have, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it's kind of a bulb that sticks out and it's supposed to be a landscaped area?
Correct. There's three of the little bulb outs.
Okay, well, the very first one you hit going eastbound, there's a rock and there's weeds. And that's what the landscaping is. And I just think that's atrocious that the property owners pay into it and that's what they have to look at. And I mean, we're not even talking that there's bushes and then there might be some weeds. We're talking about absolutely nothing but weeds and a rock. That to me is not a landscaped area.
The challenge here is the assessments across the board are nowhere near where they need to be to provide the level of service that the
Okay,
community expects.
but when that was built,
I just want to give you a magnitude
Okay.
of what we're talking about here.
all right,
So currently, we're, on the landscaping side, we're collecting about $200,000 out of all of our landscaping districts. To provide that level of service that you're referencing, we would need to spend approximately $1.2 million. So we're off by a factor of 5 or 6. Because we're locked into the 218 process. In order to increase the assessment to provide the level of revenue, to provide the maintenance that people expect, it's going to require a significant increase on those property owners. So
okay.
that's the difference.
So Dara Street has been paying into the landscape and lighting for years. At some point, it was nicely landscaped, because I remember it was.
Correct.
At some point, we've let,
Well, at some point, the costs of providing that maintenance have far exceeded the revenues that we're collecting.
okay, so we just let the plants die.
Or we spend general fund money.
Okay, so that's Dara Street. And I know you're gonna tell me this for all of the districts, because we aren't collecting enough money.
That's
But
a mental issue, correct?
Eastgate looks pretty good, and I'm not sure why it looks probably the best of all of the landscape and lighting districts.
It
I
has
mean, the
another funding
medians-
source as well, through the CFD. It provides some funding for that as well. for
Okay,
Eastgate.
but one of your primary intersections, which is Eastgate and Whitmore, all it is dirt and weeds. And to me, that should be, it's
The-
kind of your entry point.
The
How many
median,
people are
are you
traveling?
referring to the median, or I just want to clarify?
I'm talking about the right-of-way.
Okay, along the north side of Whitmore? At Eastgate?
Eastgate, it would be the north side. Eastgate and Whitmore. And I'm not talking the stretch of Whitmore, because I'm not sure what district, that's just in kind of the big lump sum.
It's in Eastgate as well.
Okay, because that doesn't look very good either. So there's some pictures.
One issue is that we replace approximately 100 sprinklers a month in all the zones, because the kids go through and just literally kick them off. So as the irrigation systems themselves turn on, a lot of these plants and the planting materials that are in those areas get pulled out. Our training center's on a contract to remove the unsightly ones, the dead ones out. We don't have the funding behind us to go behind them and replant those. So there are some bare spots. We went through Eastgate here about a year ago, I believe it was, and it was just planted. I mean, we spent almost $10,000 planting materials up and down Eastgate, and there's quite a few of them that have died, and a lot of them just literally got pulled out of the
Well,
ground.
again, Eastgate probably looks the best of all the districts. It really does. Booth Road, the only thing I believe that they're paying for is the right-of-way, and there might be some trees, but most of it is weeds. When you get to West Point is an embarrassment. I mean, it really is. The medians, it's just full of weeds. If I lived in that area and I knew that I was paying an assessment, I would be really unhappy. I mean, and I understand we don't collect enough money, we don't have enough manpower, but we had this discussion last year and nothing has changed, other than it looks horrible. And I think it looks horrible that it seems that the city doesn't care about the property, so why should the homeowners? And here's another in Brown. And I saved the Ryno Park for last because I didn't want to look like I was focusing on the Ryno Park. But you may remember 2 years ago, the police department had a cops and dogs event out there. We went to it, and it was atrocious. The weeds were, 4 feet high, and Officer or Detective Quiros was there, and he commented about all the trash he had picked up before we got there. It looked bad that the city was hosting an event, and they didn't even take time to weed. And I'm talking big weeds, okay, like 4 feet tall weeds. So when we left there, we decided, Sam and I, that rather than complain because it looked so bad, that we would go back the next morning and we would weed eat it. And as you know, we spent 4 hours out there, did 12 bags, and we felt pretty accomplished. It looked really well. We don't live in that neighborhood, but it was an embarrassment to us that one of the nicest parks in this town looked that way. It looked horrible. Earlier this month, we took our twin grandbabies over there to play on the equipment, because again, it's got, we think, the nicest park equipment. For about 4 months, the canopy on one of the play structures has been ripped. It's been at least 4 months. We go out there and when you say that they weeded, I'm not really sure where they weeded out there, because there are weeds that are 6 feet tall.
So parks, the city parks division staff takes care of Ryno Park.
Well, I don't think they take care of it. And I really would like the council to look at these pictures, because I don't know how we can let a park that truly is one of the nicest with all the amenities it has look that way. If I physically could go out there and clean it up like we did before, I would, but I can't do that. I physically cannot do that anymore. Not only are the weeds so high, one of the water fountains doesn't even work. I'm not sure the reason for that. And then, I'd like you to look at those. And then, proudly, above the Sam Ryno Park sign, there's a sign with the city logo, and it says, "Be part of the team and keep your park clean." What would make people want to keep the park clean when it's so full of weeds? And I'm not exaggerating. It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, I understand park maintenance, we don't have enough workers, we don't have enough money, but I don't think there's any excuse for that. And then 2 weeks ago, I saw in the Courier, in the legal section, because I read that stuff, that city was going out to do improvements at Neal Park. And first thing that came to my mind is, who's going to maintain that? Are we going to have another Ryno Park where you have all this wonderful equipment, you have beautiful landscaping, and no one's going to maintain it? It doesn't make any sense to me. And again, we talked about it last year, and nothing has changed.
If you would like to approve a budget amendment and allow us a couple $100,000 to hire more staff, we'd be happy to raise the level of maintenance. We have three park maintenance workers when we previously had 9. We have a third of the staff to provide maintenance across the entire city.
Okay.
So if you would like us to provide a higher level of service within the community, we need more staffing or more money to do that. So it's either hiring additional contract help to do that or hiring more employees to do that. One of the two. So based on our budgetary constraints and the workshop that we conducted in May, we did not add any park workers into the budget to get a budget approved. That budget is approved, and that's the level of service that we can provide. If this council would like to change that level of service, we need additional funds to do that.
What is the scope of work we got now going with just the mowing and with the contracts?
So the, excuse me, scope of work for the mowing is the Valleyscapes Mowing Services takes care of all the parks except for Costa, who stepped up and take care of Costa, and River Bluff. We internally take care of River Bluff. So it takes us 4 to 6 hours every week to mow River Bluff, and then takes another 4 to 6 hours to line stripe River Bluff that we are doing internally. Okay. That's that portion of it. HTC takes care of all the landscape medians and, you know, around the town and whatnot. We have to go back behind them to take care of all the irrigation systems and spray whatever we possibly can. You know, we're trying to manage this with three parks employees.
As far as some of the things around the park, you know, looking at some of the pictures, and I know we haven't got the staff, I get that, and I know that, you know, probably haven't got the money either, but at the same time, would it be something that might be talked about, contracting out, as far as that part of it, bringing it back for discussion, a discussion item?
We did that.
Did we?
We took an item, we took it out to bid, and we got one bid for $1.2 million.
To do everything?
To take care of all of the lighting and landscaping areas, and we're spending
No, I don't mean that.
$200,000.
I mean, the landscaping area, I don't know this as bad as some of the parks from what I'm looking at here, I don't know.
Well, the parks are included, most of the parks are included in that.
Right, but we're taking care of a lot of the parks, aren't we? I thought that's what I heard.
Correct. City staff takes care of the
Outside the
parks.
mowing and.
Outside of the mowing of the parks.
I mean, you know, there's you know, maybe some weeding that could be done, some other things that possibly they could do.
The simple answer is we need more money or more staff.
Right, no, I understand that.
And if contracting out, you know, we've balanced between those two by continuing the mowing contract to find those areas that are most efficient and effective to contract out, and that's what we found is that's probably the sweet spot with where we're at, and we've adjusted back and forth to find that. You know, the cost-effective piece, I mean, Howard Training Center is pennies on the dollar, in the grand scheme of things, of what the true market rate is, so we do get a tremendous benefit there, and obviously it's a community benefit as well. However, you know, that quality of care is not as high as you get if you were to hire, you know, a firm that's professional landscape care. So that's the trade-off that we have to make. And again, it's a fiscal trade-off that we're making because we do not have the funding to provide that level of service.
How big of an impact was when we had Love Series? And, you know, folks in the community would go out and try to make the community look better, and I'm sure would work in some of these areas, and maybe would go back and see that there's a
Series
need.
helped quite a bit, you know, because it focused on general areas. We have a lot of support right now with residents at Smyrna Park. You know, we've been able to keep Smyrna Park under control. You know, on an average, we spend 4 to 5 hours per day, every day, one man just taking care of irrigation across the parks. Kids are hurting us. Between that and the landscape right-of-ways and the medians that we can't keep up with, we're struggling there. You know, so the Love Series event came through and it helped us, but like Councilmember Ryno says, is that it's a one-time deal. You go out there now, you have to have staffing to stay on top of it weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the case is, to spray the weeds, to take care of the bushes and whatnot. You know, like Ryno Park, there was a dead tree limb out there for about 2 months against the back block wall. We've been working with the resident behind us with the swimming pool because of the basketball courts is causing a lot of problems for trash and litter. You know, all of our trash and litter times have increased on our custodial side because of it. It's just, parks are time consuming.
You know, just with having this being an educator, having the junior high schools and high schools have community service groups that they have to perform each year, a number of them, that if they seem like they got more in tune with maybe helping in that regard, then they'd be less likely to step on a sprinkler or cause damage to an area, because then they got to go back there and at some point in time and notice that these are things that they've witnessed
We worked
and been part of.
with Dustin, with the school district for the YES program. We worked quite a bit with the Alliance Network to get staffing and help from them. And we've worked a lot with, like, the Boy Scouts. They've come in and done some projects for us. You know, we focus a lot at, we're hopefully here in the next month or so going to focus with the Boy Scouts going out to River Bluff, because we've got a lot of weed issues out at River Bluff as well. Right. It's just, how do you gather all of these groups, these organizations to come to you? Because when we go solicit, they don't really want to do that. They want to focus on other projects. So it's a challenge.
All right.
You know, and maybe you already have this in place, but, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going, you know, you have a maintenance schedule like I do at home for certain things, my yards, my flower beds and things like. And once I get that under control, then it's like a few minutes a week taking care of it. But if you had a maintenance schedule or something in place, and you probably did, but then all of a sudden it gets out of hand, and then they move on to bigger and better things, or they think it's bigger and better, instead of taking things, you know, and going back and trying to maintain or catch up with it. And I know that you can't do every park every week, but, you know, I look at it at, you know, my house, and I know that every one of us drive by, you know, Councilmember Lane's house quite a bit, and I know he's got to have some kind of maintenance schedule, you know, put in place, because his yard always looks really good, except for when they ran the fence over, but that's beside the point. But you know what I'm saying? And you know, Councilmember Ryno went over and took care of Ryno Park, her and her husband, and then all of a sudden, you know, that was a step in the right direction. And then all of a sudden it gets out of hand again. And I know you got, you know, staff, but it's just like, you know, me, I had 3 kids at home, and now it's just me. So I don't know what the solution is, but, you know, if there's a way that you could get some kind of schedule and clean one up and then move to the next one, and then just, you know, go that direction. And I know it's easier said than done. So I'm not trying to beat you up on that.
I hear you.
Okay.
It's challenging.
What I mean, just a short time. I mean,
Yeah, and this year, it's, I mean, we also have a public works director who's been out on a mower himself. Because of the shortages we've had some illnesses on staff that have hampered us as well. And again, trying to manage a budget and stay within budget, limited our part-time and temporary help. This year didn't help us at all, when the wettest year on record doesn't exactly help in the weed control department as we're getting more and more weeds. I mean, I know those all sound like excuses, and unfortunately, we just are not staffed. 3 people running around town trying to maintain these parks to the level that we would. Nobody's proud of this. This is not something that staff looks around and goes, "Oh, this looks great." That's the last thing we look at. But at the same time, we have to be realists and go, we put our employees where they can do the most work possible, and unfortunately, it's somewhat of a triage approach. We're putting duct tape and baling wire and Band-Aids on things that need a whole lot more help and work, and we're not in a position, unless this council directs us, to go doing a 218 process and raising the assessment for all of these LLDs, and then looking at the other areas, which is dedicating more general funds towards doing that.
Well, why would anyone vote for an increase in their assessments when it looks so bad out there?
That's exactly the challenge. It's catch-22.
And going along with what Vice Mayor Kline said, why couldn't you put a team of 3, hit one of the parks with the landscaping, knock it out in 4 hours? I mean, they should be able to do that, 3 of them, because there were 2 old people doing it.
It's more like 1. Because one of the other guys, so for example, Mondays and Tuesdays, a lot of the time is spent between doing playground inspections. We're required to by the state now. We have to do weekly playground inspections of all the equipment. There's a large checklist that goes with it. Between that and irrigation systems, that takes up 2 to 3 days worth of time by itself, without River Bluff coming into us. So there's challenges. And then this week here, we have one of the guys that's off on vacation.
Okay.
Now we're down to 2.
There's challenges, but maybe we need to step out of that box and try something else. So you go in, you clean up an area that has a lot of the landscaping, you do it as a group effort. You don't worry about it again till, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks, whatever, and then they continue doing their regular stuff. But you just can't leave a park looking like that. And now we're gonna go out and spend all this money and make Neal Park look really good. And what's gonna happen to the landscaping there? It's gonna be the same thing.
And we're getting ready
And why is only one of the water fountains working at Ryno Park? And why is there that tattered thing? I mean, don't you have the money to repair that?
We do. And the water fountains were working last week, because I was over there because I took a drink out of them. So I kind of...
One of them worked, the other one didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. So is the dog water working?
We didn't try the dog water. We just did the other
Between that
2.
and I've got 2 lamps that are on the back side of the park that have shattered lenses up there as well, that are custom order items. It's just, they keep dominoing on us.
Well, I don't think until you do something, it's just going to keep dominoing. But it's an embarrassment. I mean, it really is. And those weeds just did not pop up overnight. You don't get a 6-foot weed overnight, and it's not just 1 or 2 here. They're like all over the place. And if we can't maintain it, then we shouldn't be putting such nice landscaping in our park. We shouldn't do that.
Anything else from the council? Anybody from the public have a comment on item number 12?
I look at that, excuse me, I look at that logo, City of Ceres, Together We Achieve. It seems more like it should be Together We Ignore. I have to agree, Linda, that people don't care anymore. It's my neighborhood, what the heck, I'll throw the garbage down on the street. I don't know where the rest of you guys live, but I know where Ken lives. And that's the jewel of Moffett. That's the place. And I know because I've seen him out there working. And he's been out there working when I'd go in the house and drink a beer. Heck, it's too hot. But I've seen him out there. But it takes diligence on every... You ever heard of the rat experiment? The rat experiment. We're suffering from it here in Ceres and all over the San Joaquin Valley. They took this university somewhere, I can't remember where, took a big box, a big cage, and they put 2 rats in it. And they fed them, and everything was cool. Then they added 2 more rats. And didn't change the amount of space or anything. And the rats got along okay. 2 more rats. Pretty soon there was 10 rats in that cage, and they started fighting with each other. So they added some more. No more food, no more water, just more rats. That's what Ceres has got now. We got too many rats for what we can afford to give them. We can't add more people and things like that, because then every park, Sam Ryno, all of them. What about Lions Park over there on River Road? The very large weed field, but it's set aside as a park. And even Lions Club, we serve, but we can't serve that much. What? The people in Ceres don't give a rip anymore. You look at the places where you go in and love Ceres 1 day a week, 1 day a year. And after that, nobody cares. And Toby, you can't do anything about it. All the money that you collect in taxes, can't even do anything about it, because nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn.
Gunner and I walk around the parks, Smyrna Park. Some of you've met my dog. He's my service dog now. He's already been in trouble with the Postal Service. And Smyrna Park, I don't know how you clean it up. You've got a horseshoe pit out there, you got a volleyball, you've got kids where they can play in a little playground, you got a skate park where kids can play, and it's pitiful whenever Gunner and I go down there on Monday morning. They got barbecue briquettes poured up against a tree. They got Obama's plaque already pulled out of the ground. They got the canopy over there. They jump up on top of the gutter and they pull it down. There's graffiti on the... I don't know what you can do for the people. I mean, and you go out there and Gunner picks up dirty diapers. I mean, we just put a $400,000 bathroom up there. I mean, hey, people, we put a $400,000 bathroom here for you. Use it. You walk around and you look at people's license plate and they're Atwater, Merced, Denair. What is these people doing in our parks and won't take care of them? If they're renting our park, they need to clean them up. They need to be fined. Charge them to clean that up. Because I even talked to the custodian out there, and he said it's like this all the time. Well, it's a job. He has to do it. I don't care how much time he spends, he has to clean the park up. It has to be clean for the people. So I don't know. It's not what's his name's fault to clean the parks up. It's the people that has to take care of themselves. And I like it like up in the forest when you go up there. What you take in, you bring out. I mean, that's pretty simple. You know what I mean? Weeds you can't do. I mean, you have to have maintenance people to take care of the weeds and mow the lawn and stuff like that. But the garbage and tearing somebody's plaque up, Obama's plaque, and jumping up on the gutter, and that's just unexcusable. That's just something that you can't have. It's well, okay, sorry.
Anybody else? I'll bring it back to the council for action.
Move to approve resolution number 2017-058.
Have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes.
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
Item number 13, public hearing to consider resolution 2017-059, establishing the annual assessment levy for 2017-18 fiscal year on the businesses in the downtown area defined in the Series Downtown Revitalization Area Board. Annual report for the activities and programs for the Series Downtown Revitalization Area Board for fiscal year 2017. Mr. Hallam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. Let's see if I can reach this up a little. I'm Steve Hallam, the Series Redevelopment and Economic Development Manager. Tonight's item before you is a request at a public hearing to consider assessing a levy on all businesses located in the Series Downtown Revitalization Area for fiscal year 2017-18. This area district was formed in 1989 for the purposes of generating revenue to assist the city in the maintenance, upkeep, and revitalization efforts downtown. Since its origination in '89, an assessment is levied annually on all businesses, not property owners or property, but on the businesses themselves who are situated within the boundaries of the revitalization area. By law, the funds raised from the annual assessment are restricted in their purpose. They must be used to pay for projects and activities that promote and positively contribute to the downtown commercial district. The proposed levy that we're recommending tonight for next fiscal year is the same as it was in 1989 when the district was established. It generally assesses $10 to $25 per month on all businesses. It's based on gross receipts. Banks and gas stations are assessed a flat fee of $500 per year. And for this fiscal year, the assessment is expected to raise approximately $12,750 to support these district activities. 2 weeks ago, the council approved the annual report for next year and directed that the funds, if assessed, would pay for electricity to power the downtown streetlights, maintenance of the street trees and landscape islands in the public rights-of-way, rotating the seasonal overhead banners, as well as a recommendation by the C-DRAB board to consider 3 activities: a matching grant element for the downtown facade improvement program, 2 planned projects consisting of a wayfinding sign program, and a new program, hasn't been determined yet, but a possible downtown incentive program, and the budget outlined those expenses. So once again tonight, staff is not proposing any increase in the annual rate of assessment for next year. That would also require a vote of the businesses. City Council is asked to take the following 2 actions: open the public hearing this evening for the purpose of taking any relevant testimony, and then consider our recommendation to adopt the proposed resolution, which will establish and assess a levy on all businesses in the Series Downtown Revitalization Area for fiscal year 2017-18. I'm available for any questions the council may have.
I do have one question for you.
Yes.
With what's going on downtown,
Yes.
will the assessment be enough to maintain all of the changes, or are we going to have to change the assessment level?
Good question, and that's one of the things that we gain this year is once the project is done, the contractor's obligation will be to provide maintenance for a year. So we will have a chance to look at the ongoing maintenance and what levels that is and what the cost is, and that may result in a request to the downtown business owners to increase the assessment that they would have to agree to themselves, and that would be looked at in next fiscal year.
Okay. Anybody else from the council have a question, comments? I'm opening it up to the public. I see none. I'll bring it back to the council.
Move to adopt resolution number 2017-059.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Durossette.
Yes.
Councilmember Lane.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
New business, the Borough Lottie Disposable Solid Waste Contract. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Kline. This item is the first time that we've actually brought this back to the council since, I believe, since the contract was last approved in 2010. So as you know, the City of Ceres has been contracted with Bertolotti for nearly 50 years now, providing solid waste services to the city, and it continues to provide a outstanding service for the citizens of Ceres. That contract that was signed in 2010 was an 8-year agreement signed in 2010 with a provision that it would roll over each year and add an additional year. So that now as we're entering 7 years of the contract, the way the contract was written, for each year that we are in the agreement, if we don't provide notice, then there's automatically a year added to it. So as it stands today, 7 years into the agreement, if the council were to direct us to provide notice this evening, that would basically set the end of the contract in motion so that it would terminate June 30th, 2025. So being this far into the contract, the staff felt it was appropriate to bring it to council to discuss whether we want to provide notice. There's no requirement to provide notice. The contract is still a workable contract. It works. However, staff felt that this point into the project and the contract, that it'd be worth bringing it to the council, get your direction on how you'd like us to proceed, whether you'd like to provide that notice to set an end date for the contract, or to continue as is and not provide notice, and we can do that. Also wanted to take the opportunity kind of as a separate issue, two separate issues, just to let you know that we continue to have ongoing conversations with Bertolotti about a few of those items that we've talked about here at this council of potential changes, and those would be, again, on a separate track, separate from this notice issue, regarding a potential 3-can system, bulky item pickup, and leaf and limb program. Those are three of the kind of the top programs that we're having conversations with Bertolotti, and those would all come back to you for direction. But just wanted to kind of give it a little chance for a status update, letting you know that the contract is still workable. We're very happy with the contract, but at the same time, the staff felt we would be remiss if we didn't bring it to the council's attention that we haven't provided notice yet, and we are, into, if we were to give notice now, basically the halfway point of the contract. Likely some of you on the council may not be here when when this contract were to come up for renewal or direction, but again, we're looking for council direction on how you'd like us to proceed on this matter. From a staff perspective, we're asking the question. We really don't have a recommendation per se. We do think it's prudent for a contract at this length. 15 years seems like about the window that we've done it in the past. We've kind of done a major contract revision about every 10 to 15 years over the original contracts in 71. So we would look for your direction. Steve is here from Bertolotti, and he would be happy to speak on this matter as well.
Councilmember Lane?
Yeah, question, Toby. So through this contract, I mean, I always say if you got a contract and it's working well, why change anything? But and I think you can do amendments and that sort of thing to this contract currently we have, right?
Correct, yeah, you can amend it. Again, it's really not necessarily for this existing council, but really the future council.
So for me, I'm perfectly fine.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
I agree, but at the same time, looking at a 2025 date, and if we don't provide notice, it's 2026. And that's my second question. If we don't provide notice, would you like us to bring this back annually just as a check-in? I think that'd be prudent to do, but again, just want to make sure we get direction and we're on the same page. We didn't want, in order for us to provide notice, it needs to be by July 1st, so we want to make sure that we're doing our part from a staff perspective, bring it to the council's attention.
Any other comments from the council? Open up the public for any comment, questions?
As far as I know, Bertolotti's doing a good job. It's just the people of Ceres that are doing a lousy job. The people of Ceres don't care. That's why you see a whole bunch of mattresses out there by that gated community on Moffett. You see chairs and other stuff piled up. And I know that, is it true, 2 times a year each household can make arrangements with Bertolotti to come and pick up their stuff?
Single family homes, yes.
Because in the mobile home park, we have twice a year they come by and we can pile all the crap out there and they pick it up and take care of it. But there again, the rats gotta care, and they don't.
Keep saying people don't care. I care about my community. I mean, I think people just don't know. Maybe you need to let people know what's going on in their community, open their eyes up and let them see. I care, but he keeps saying we don't care. I care about my block. So if there's anything on Darrell Street you want help with, talk to me and my sister. Maybe we could work something out to help each other out to clean the block better. That's just me telling you that because you was talking to them earlier about it. But let you know I care about this city. So whatever I can do to help out, let us know. If I can do something, I'll do it. You know, help you guys out, help us out.
Mayor, City Council members, Steve Holloway, General Manager for Bertolotti. Yeah, we've been serving the City of Ceres for 45 years. One of our first franchises. We've served the county for 43, City of Newman for 26, Modesto 16, Patterson 11. All those are short-term contracts, but they all have perpetual clauses in them. That gives us as a business, you know, planning, continuity, same with the city. Normally, I've been working for Bert for 25 years. About every 18 months, I used a calendar to apply for the extension. Then we pretty much went to all the cities and got on board with the rolling contract. Some of them roll every 2 years, some roll every 1 year. But once your contracts start getting down below 5 or 5 years, it's hard to get financing. Banks won't finance, you know, normally 5 years for equipment. If you don't have 5 years on your contract, then they're not going to loan you the money. Same with the programs. Like if you want to go to a third can, you know, I have to project my costs to the ratepayer or to the city, and allocate that over or amortize it over what I have left in my contract. So if it's 4 years instead of 8, it's going to be double the cost. I can't. I mean, in order to keep the rates as low as possible, I need to amortize my cost out over, you know, 8 years instead of 4. And it just gives both, you know, our contract's 8 years. We've been, Toby stated it was 15 years, but yeah, we'll be in it 15 years, but it's always 8 years, and we always have, you know, the checks and balances that, you know, if things aren't going right, then we can give notice on either end. But I mean, unless there's, you know, there's issues or anything, you know, it's a big change for a city or a company to change a contract or to let one run out. Waste management, they can move their assets, you know, from one city to another. You know, they're a big corporate, you know, they let people go, you know, they don't really care. But this is our, you know, this is our only contract. We lose this, the company goes under, employees go under. And it's a big, you know, we have 20,000 cans, over 20,000 cans in the city of Ceres. Changing, you know, I mean, you know, unless there's real issues that I'm not aware that we would definitely, you know, fix. We're not in the business of hiding behind, you know, contracts where, oh, the contract states this, you know, we're not going to do anything more. Ceres, in the beginning, used to have regular cans. Get out. Bert used to get out, throw the can in the back of the truck, empty it, put it back on the curb, and Ceres was the first one in Stanislaus County that went to automated cans. We worked with Kay and Joe Holsting on the blue can, the leaf and limb, bulky item. I mean, all those, you know, some of them have issues, not necessarily service issues, but, you know, bulky item can be, you know, if people put it out early, it can be an eyesore. But I feel it's a real successful program. Before, we used to have the cleanups, and we cleaned up nearly, we're about 400 tons now. With the cleanups, we were 2,200 tons for the year. And it wasn't because people were cleaning up the town, people were abusing the system, and basically the city and the ratepayers were paying for free garbage service that, they would hoard it and bring it over during the cleanups. But I feel the bulky item program is real successful. That gives everyone a choice to make an appointment when they want, not necessarily on a cleanup day or anything. The leaf and limb, that's real valuable, I feel. Yeah, it is an issue which we have in any city with the leaves and the brush, that type of thing. But that's a great service for the citizens. I mean, that saves them quite a bit of money, versus, hauling it over to our facility. So I'm kind of surprised that this has come up. But, if that's the direction you want to go, I will probably be in here in 6 months requesting an extension so that I can keep my financing and my planning going as a company. But I would really like you to consider to not give notice, and that would give us, we can work on all these other issues. Otherwise than that, it's kind of hard for me to work on a third can issue when my time frame's shortening every day or every month, and my costs change constantly. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to address this issue? Okay, with that, I'll bring it back to the city council. So before we do anything, I want to make a comment. With me traveling around, there is quite a bit of advantage of what we have in the city of Ceres that a lot of other cities don't have, and that's leaf and limb pickup. That they pick up leaf and limb all the time, especially when your recycling's out, where they used to do it twice a year. They pick up bulky items that I know a lot of citizens that are new to the area don't know about. You can call them, they'll give you a 24-hour notice when they're going to pick it up, and you can put it out the curb 24 hours in advance, refrigerators, dishwashers, different things like that, and they've done a really good job. So, I personally haven't ran into any problems with it. I know that driving around town, I've seen some people that have had stuff packed up in front of their yard, and I didn't know whether they knew that there was a pickup request, and I'll call the city and have them set something in motion to get the bulky items picked up in a certain area. So I know that with Burlati, I mean, they've done the city of Ceres a good service, street fair, things like that. So that's all my comments. Councilmember Lane.
I just like to move forward with the contract we currently have, and I think within the contract, it basically both sides have a chance, if there's a problem, to meet and confer, and you can't agree, get out of it. So I think that's on both sides. I just soon see this thing move forward like we're moving right now, and rely on staff. And of course, all of us, if we hear things, we can bring it back to staff too. And I got to say, you guys have done an outstanding job for how many years now? 40 something? I mean, I can remember as a kid, you guys were coming down the alley throwing them cans. It's like, man, that was a long time ago. In the grammar school, yeah. Anyway, you guys have done an excellent job, and I certainly appreciate the work that you do beyond just garbage service. I know you do a lot of other things for us in Ceres too, so thank you for that. That's my recommendation.
I would agree with that as well. I mean, just seeing the city as it is today, and obviously 45 years is a long time, I can see how it saves money in regards to your costs. If for some reason you got to sit there and get a different loan because of the amount of the time frame that it extends. So, I don't think we need to go to a third can. So I say stick with.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so I guess take a poll of the council.
Correct. You did not direct us to move forward, so there's no notice that will be provided. No one said anything differently, so it will continue. My second question is, do you want this to be kind of an annual item that we bring back for council to just as a review, or just as issues come up?
I think just as issues come out.
That's kind of what I said, I think.
Okay, I just, like I said, staff, I mean, you know, we're responsible for monitoring the contract and giving notice every,
Right.
you know, that's, just want to make sure that we're doing what council has directed.
Well, part of me thinks that, you know, maybe it could be a you know, twice every 2-year review. As the council changes, at least the future council members will know what contracts are out there and what's up there. You know, I mean, that's my feeling, because who knows, in 2 years or 4 years from now, you know, the whole dynamics of the whole thing could change and nobody will be here. So I think that, you know, maybe it should be reviewed every 4 years.
So I'm looking for direction. The other option we could include it is like during the goal setting as a conversation, then that might be an appropriate time to review how the contract is going during goal setting. That's generally in February-ish.
That'd be fine.
I think goal setting would be fine.
Yeah, I would.
Yep.
Linda, you good with that?
Okay?
Yeah, I don't think we have to, you don't have to worry about coming to every one of these.
Perfect.
If it's on the agenda, you'll know, right? Better get down here.
Okay, with that, any discussion items? Councilmember referrals. Anybody on the city council like to refer something for a future agenda item? See none. Okay. Reports. I have nothing to report. Anybody on the council have anything to report? Ms. Dean. Mr. Hallinan.
Nothing to report, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Wells.
Just a couple quick little reminders. As we heard this evening, the Save Mart renovations are open, and the grand opening is this Wednesday, where they're doing a little ceremony, so look forward to seeing a few of you out there, hopefully. The Centennial Committee continues to meet. Thank you, Sheila, for the reminder, and making good progress on that overall plan for celebrating our 100th birthday or anniversary, whichever that is, for next year. And just to respond to the water tower comments, I sure wish it was easy as just putting a coat of paint on that tower. Unfortunately, as this council has seen a couple of times, we brought this the structural analysis of that in order to keep that facility for a long period of time. Would need some structural improvements, as well as in essence, a complete shrouding, meaning covering that to remove the existing paint before you put a new coat of paint on it. So it is a rather expensive endeavor, would require some fundraising to the tune of probably around $500,000 to make that. So as much as we all love the water tower, that renovation is pretty expensive in lieu of all of our other needs. Sheila has indicated that she's more than willing to start doing the fundraising for that, so I encourage her to go hard. It's going to take some effort to get there. So,
Chief Smith. Daryl.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you for Sheila's comments tonight with the downtown project. As you know, it's moving forward. The demo went pretty quickly over the last 2 weeks. We're trying to keep our contractors as busy as we can out there so they see activity. The last thing that a business owner does not want to see is activity in front of their business when the streets tore up. So we're pushing on them real hard. We're meeting, if not on a daily basis, on every other day basis with businesses down the street. We have another meeting tomorrow to talk with a few of the folks about scheduling. So we're doing our best to keep them in the know of what's happening and the project as it moves along. But it is an inconvenience. We understand that. So we just ask that you help us bear with that. Thank you.
Chief Nichols. Jeremy. Supervisor DeMartini. I see nothing else, then I adjourn this city council meeting to closed session.
How long is this going to take?